Hey everybody, so today I want to talk more about our nomadic lifestyle and specifically about food and our food budgeting around here. I recently put out some videos where I actually broke down our budget and I reported on the numbers. So one of the big things we do around here is we do a lot of foraging, and that allows us to get certain foods for totally free. This is definitely something that's bigger when we're up in the northwest part of the country. But we've even done some Southwest foraging as well. You can find some of those fun adventures here. I've put it on a food and foraging playlist. But, I mean, we've eaten cactus and yucca in the desert. And we get berries and greens for free in the north. And we're getting into some other foraging finds too. So that's a way to get totally free food. And if we do enough foraging, it really supplements our monthly food budget. Another really important thing that we stick to around here is we never eat out. And as most of us know, food from restaurants is actually really expensive. So we always cook at home. We cook all our meals on a fire. So we basically have come up with a lot of cool camping recipes. And so we can still eat good, but we never do that eating out. And that's a pretty strict rule around here. Another thing that really matters is the types of meals that we eat. We don't eat meals that are really heavy on the meat side or the large portions of meat or anything like that, which meat is really expensive, so that lowers our food costs significantly. We're also selective in our ingredients that we use in our foods, and we like to pick ingredients that have a kind of a more bang for your buck. So things that tend to be cheap but give us a lot of nutrition, or maybe things that are cheap that give us a lot of calories if that's what we're looking for. Examples would be carrots. A lot of good nutrition, really, really cheap. So we tend to have a lot of recipes that include carrots. Another example might be something like oats. Oats are pretty cheap. They can be very nutritious and involved in lots of meals, but we can get a decent amount of calories out of those as well. We buy food in bulk, so some of the things that would otherwise be more expensive if we bought them in small quantities, we choose to buy those in bulk or larger quantities, which keeps the like per pound price a lot cheaper. Another really important consideration, especially for nomads, would be to consider the types of places where you hang out. Some places are obviously way more expensive than others. And so if you choose to say, you know, go to a lot of national parks and hang out around the outskirts of the national parks, foods will be inflated. There's also just other regions that are just more expensive for food. So we tend to spend more amounts of our time in places that have lower food costs. Arizona in general is a place that we find that the food costs are much lower, and we spend a good portion of the year in Arizona. So that works out really well for us. I actually use the grocery apps that are available. Some of them have amounted to some significant discounts for me. I'm not necessarily big usually on like signing up for stuff, but as an example, the Safeway app is really awesome. Not only does it give you like some coupons and discounts, but some of the things are even specialized based on, you know, what we buy. Can't make a video today because there's a million military jets circling around, which makes it really loud and impossible for you to hear me. That's what we got to deal with. We also buy a lot of discount produce. We found that many stores will do various packaging of discounted produce if, say, it's starting to go bad or just doesn't look as pretty anymore. For example, I noticed Safeway puts bags of bananas that are starting to just, you know, brown up or whatever. They'll put bananas in a bag and they put them on sale for like 39 cents a pound. And there's been plenty of times where I'll get a bag of bananas at that price, and then I'll also have like $1 off of produce or something. So I get a whole bag of bananas for super cheap. Another great example is the Fred Meyer's store. Their chain will put discounted produce in little net bags, and sometimes they put them in various spots in the store. But they'll be, things that are just, you know, again, like might have a spot on them or they're still edible. And they'll put a bunch of them in a bag for like $1. And so we buy that kind of stuff up. So almost everything we buy is often on some kind of sale or discount. Another thing that we've found that saves us a lot of money on produce are discount produce markets. Specifically in the Southwest, there are discount produce markets where we can get fruits and vegetables for really cheap prices, and we get them in bulk. And that has been a huge savings to our budget. We don't go into the store necessarily with a list to say, like, these are the things we have to buy, these are the meals we have to eat. In a sense, I guess we go in with like a number of lists in my mind. and we'll go in and we'll buy the things based on whether or not it's a good price or a sale. And then we'll build our meals around those things that we were able to get for a good price. Here comes a jet. So we do buy canned goods as well, and while I don't know if canned goods are necessarily a huge cost savings per se, they are in the sense that that's the way that we can keep food, especially in our situation, because you know we don't really use actual refrigeration. But another thing that we do is actually dehydrate foods. As you guys know, we built a little makeshift dehydrator that works awesome. And I use it to dehydrate various things that we find and forage. And I've even used it to dehydrate stuff like mint to make my own tea, so that I can still have a hot beverage in the morning. But again, it doesn't cost me anything. We're also really nitpicky around here about waste. I try to limit our waste as much as possible, which means, say, when we make the zucchini boat recipe, you have to carve out a little bit of the zucchini to put the tuna in, but I take those strips of zucchini, put them to the side, and we use them in another recipe, whether it be like something for us or we cook it up for the dogs, but we don't just throw it out. So there's very, very little, if any, food waste around here, which again, even though it's a small little amount at a time, when you pile that up, that would be a lot of food and a lot of cost that'd be going out the window. When we cook our meals, we often cook them actually in really big portions for all of us. So I kind of think of us as like a family of 5 because it's us and the dogs. And the dogs actually eat a lot of stuff, or we eat a lot of stuff that the dogs can eat. They eat what we can eat. We've come up with different recipes that work for all of us. I mean, we can share in things like yams and rice recipes and maybe some of the chicken, eggs. They can eat a lot of the stuff we eat. So what we'll actually do is we'll cook a big pot of it on the fire, and then we'll pull some off. We'll put the portion aside for the dogs, and then maybe we'll add some of the things that we want, maybe extra seasonings or something in ours. But that actually allows us to save money by cooking it in bulk. We also don't necessarily stick to like a 3 meal a day regime. I mean, a lot of days we'll have probably like 2 meals for us. Maybe like a breakfast and a dinner, or maybe a breakfast, a snack, and a dinner, or maybe we just kind of have an early lunch and have a dinner, something like that. And lastly, while this isn't necessarily a food item, I often just give number projections that are based on like grocery shopping, because a lot of the non-food items we buy, say like toiletries, we don't really buy a lot of that stuff. And so it really doesn't affect our bills much at all. I think it probably takes us like a year to go through a tube of toothpaste between 2 people. I don't even know, but we don't have to replace that very often. But the main thing is not so much, it's more like what we don't buy that makes the difference. We do buy soap, but we don't buy like tons of different soaps. Like this is for bath, this is for hair, this is for dishes. Actually just buy like an all-around soap and use it for everything. And since we don't like shower every day, we're not really ripping through soap anyway. So that's really, really small part of our budget. And then on top of it, we just don't have a lot of the extra toiletries. We don't do I don't buy hair dyes. I don't wear makeup. So none of that, those expenditures are in our bills. We just don't buy I don't know, air fresheners. There's all these little things that a lot of, at least people in a house often buy. And that pretty much just keeps that portion of our, say, grocery or whatever shopping bill really low. We go hunting through the store looking for good reduced items too. One thing I really like is yogurt, but it tends to run a little expensive. But you can find a lot of the times they will actually mark it down once it gets close or past the expiration date. And as we know, that expiration date, not as important as they make it seem. So we'll just buy up stuff that's, say, 50% or more off. And that's how we get some of those, I guess, bonus things that we like to enjoy. So there you have it, everyone. That's how we save so much money on our food bill. Doing all those things combined can save tons of money. I hope that was helpful for many of you, and I hope that also highlighted how we save so much money on our food bill and our bills in general, and how we afford to live this simple nomadic lifestyle. So if it was helpful and you guys enjoyed it, please give the video a like. And if you'd like to see more and you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll be talking about all kinds of things related to this topic and our nomadic lifestyle. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Bye. I really actually, okay, oh my god, that was a little too close. Here comes a jet.